Hi there. I wanted to do a video today and talk about energy production from within the body. And because I know, sometimes when we go on a healthy eating program, we're kind of doing all of we feel like we're doing the right things, but maybe we're not fully understanding um, how that is relating to the responses within our body. We may know we feel a bit better, we've got more energy, for example, and we're losing weight, but it does help to have an understanding as to what is actually going on, um, in order for us to be able to stay on track and to continue to make good decisions when it comes to our diet and lifestyle. So, one of the things that I like doing is sort of understanding the biochemistry and the biology of the body. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because it might bore you. But I sort of tend to take the bits of information that I can see are really important, and then I'll pass those on and share them with my customers and Herbalife members, etc. So the thing that I've really been learning about recently, which I think is really important to understand, is what happens within the cells of our body. And it's important to understand that the human body is made up of about 50 trillion cells. Okay, so that's 50 trillion cells. So we are made up of cells, and it's a massive number. And ultimately, it's the health of the cells within the body that will determine how we look and how we feel within ourselves, how much energy we've got, how we're, whether or not we've got a kind of a lean physique or not, as the case may be, whether the quality of our skin is good or not. And so this is all determined really by the health of the cells. Now, within those cells is something which we call mitochondria. And somebody, it was actually a lady called Dr. Libby that I was reading about recently. She explains this in a really, really easy to understand way. And what she says is, think of the mitochondria. Every single cell, by the way, within your body has the mitochondria in them, as like little mice going around on a wheel. So, these little mice are generating the energy from within the cells, and they produce what we call ATP, which is ultimately our energy production. Now, the goal really is to enable these mice to function as well as is humanly possible, or as well as possible. And we want to assist them in their job because ultimately they're producing the energy to enable us to get the most out of the day, whether it's being able to concentrate more, whether it's being able to complete tasks, to complete marathons, whatever it might be. We want our energy to be as high as possible. So we really want to assist these little mice, these little mitochondria within the cells of our body to produce as much energy as we possibly can. So going back to what I was saying at the beginning of the video, it's really important for you to understand that when you're providing the body with balanced nutrition, okay, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, then what you're ensuring is that these little mice within your body are able to function optimally. Now, not only that, what's fascinating about the mitochondria within the cells of the body is that under the right environment, these guys will duplicate. Okay, so that's why if you get the right conditions going on in the body, we begin to increase our muscle mass because we're basically producing more of these cells in our body, and therefore we've got more little mice running around in wheels in our body, so they're producing more energy still. So that's why we would talk to you about making sure you're supporting and preferably building your muscle mass as well. So there's a number of different ways that you can do that, by the way, because a lot of people are put off by that, by thinking, oh my goodness, that means I've got to go down the gym, I've got to be pumping weights and all this kind of thing. That's not necessarily what you need to do in order to build muscle. In fact, some simple breathing exercises, if done right, can actually stimulate muscle growth, okay? Because we can work certain muscles within in and around our diaphragm in order to stimulate that. So that's why exercises such as Tai Chi and yoga, for example, although may not be the first exercises that would come to mind, actually do a really effective job of building muscle mass. So of course you can do the traditional forms of exercises, going down the gym and that kind of thing, but don't just think about building muscle mass as going down the gym and pumping weights. That actually is not the case at all. And so that's probably for another video, and you can research that a little bit more yourself if you want to. So I'm just going to sort of stay on message today. So let's think a little bit about energy production from within the body, and how we can best assist that. Because yes, we all want to be in great shape, and a lot of people come to me because they want to lose weight, and a lot of people will come to us as Herbalife distributors because and Herbalife members because they've seen people have had great results on the product and have lost weight. But also key to a lot of the successful stories from people who've had great results with Herbalife is how much extra energy that they have as a result of their diet and lifestyle change. And that's really key because, to be honest, the key, really the key determinant of good health is actually really your energy levels. Do you have enough energy? Do you have a good mood? Do you feel well on the inside as well as look well on the outside? And I can honestly say, hand on heart, that I was somebody that understood what I should be doing when it came to nutrition, and I understood what foods were good for me, but I didn't really fully grasp how important it is to feel good on the inside, and that can trip you up, So you've got to be thinking in terms of a lifestyle change as well as a dietary change. So for some of us, that might mean that we need to learn to relax more, because we live in a society now which is driven by feelings of stress, anxiety, and worry, and all of these things. And for a lot of us, they've almost become like a normal state. The thing to really understand about that, and that's nobody's fault, that's just the world that we're living in now, especially in the West. But the thing you need to understand about that is that has an impact on our health. And let me talk a little bit about the kind of impact that has on our health. Well, something again I've learned a lot about because of my own personal experience with suffering with a lack of energy and reaching what we would call burnout about 10 years ago now. I really studied and learned about the what we call the autonomic nervous system, so the nervous system within the body, and how that correlates and works with regards to our overall health. Now, because of the fact that we do live in a society now where we're dominated by stress and anxiety and worry, what's happened is that our nervous system has got out of balance. And there's really two key parts to the nervous system that are worth knowing about. One is called the sympathetic nervous system. Now, this is stimulated and also referred to as what we call fight or flight. So it's stimulated in order for us to be able to fight or flight from a situation. So centuries ago, for example, that may have been we were getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger. So when what we call SNS, a sympathetic nervous system, is stimulated, the body will go into fight or flight. Okay, and when that happens, there's something really, really key to understand here when it comes to your overall health and wellness goals. What basically happens is that all of the energy production goes into helping you to survive the situation. So, your heart rate will increase, energy is driven to your muscles in your legs and your arms, and it's the energy taken away from all of the key areas of the body, which ultimately are going to enable you to stay in a state of optimum health. So the challenge we've got today is that there is a problem, because there's a lot of us that are living in what's called an SNS state, a sympathetic nervous system state, and the result of that is the fact that our that we're starting to suffer with poor health as a result. There's many health conditions which you can research on the internet, which are all down to basically us operating in this kind of stressed out state all the time, or our bodies is in this stressed out state all the time. And it's not, it may be natural, it may feel natural in the world that we live in. It may feel quite, common, but it's not normal for the body to live in that state. Yeah. No living organism, is what I've learned, can live in that state for very long before ill health is going to set in. And so what we've got to learn to do is to make the lifestyle changes as well as the nutritional changes that are required in order for us to switch to what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. So that needs to be predominantly operating throughout the day. These two nervous systems are designed to work in tandem with one another, but ultimately when it comes to our health, so if you think about things like breathing properly, which obviously affects our respiratory system, repair and recovery, resting, all of these things, when in order for them to happen, our body needs to be operating in the parasympathetic nervous state. And for a lot of us, that isn't happening. Now, there's a few other reasons besides stress and worry and anxiety as to why this isn't happening. The challenge we've got when the sympathetic nervous system is predominant is that our bodies will choose to burn glucose in that situation. Now, there's two types of fuel the body can burn. Okay, the body can burn glucose, okay, which obviously that can come from our diet, but also it can be broken down from basically breaking down our protein in our muscles into what we call amino acids, and then we can turn that back into glucose sugar again. So when we eat protein, we're basically the amino acids would then turn into muscles. So it works in reverse when we start to when we're predominantly working from the sympathetic nervous state, and we actually start to burn our muscle mass, because that is the fastest fuel for the body to be able to burn. Think of glucose as petrol, okay? And the other fuel that the body uses and can only use when the body's in a relaxed state is fat, okay? Now, fat is a bit like burning wood, okay? It's a slow burn. The body needs to feel safe and secure, calm and relaxed in order for us to burn fat, okay? So there's a few things that stimulate the sympathetic nervous state which you need to be aware of, and one of them is coffee, okay? So if you're the type of person that drinks a lot of coffee throughout the day, you can probably pretty much guarantee that you're operating in a sympathetic nervous state, because what coffee does is it kind of, yes, it gives you an energy lift, but it also creates kind of anxiety within the body, and the effect of it on the body is stimulating the sympathetic nervous system. So for a lot of us, what we need to do is not necessarily to drop caffeine altogether, but if you get caffeine from another source, like with Herbalife, we do the Thermogenics instant herbal beverage, which contains green tea, okay? There is an ingredient in there which kind of balances out the caffeine to ensure, because it's coming from a natural source, that it doesn't stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. So green tea would be a really good, or a product like Thermogenic instant herbal beverage which contains green tea will give you the energy lift that you're looking for, but it will be a sustained energy lift as well throughout the day. It'll be more balanced. It won't give you this this real high and then crash, and then you need another cut, high and then crash. If you're doing this throughout the day, then that tells you that your sympathetic nervous system is dominant. It's very difficult to burn body fat when that's going on. So for anybody that feels like they're doing all the right things when it comes to losing weight, but they're not seeing that weight loss, just look at this. Look at your lifestyle, and see if there's something that you can do to reduce the stress, worry, and anxiety that may be triggering this, or maybe it's just that you got into a habit of using coffee to get through the day, for example, and also sugary foods is another prime example of somebody that's operating from in the sympathetic nervous state. So we need to one of the great things about going on to something like the Herbalife program is it starts to retrain the body from craving sugary foods. Again, think about the glucose that I was talking about. If the sympathetic nervous system is in operation, then we will pretty much be craving sugar throughout the day, as well as things like coffee, because that's kind of giving us the energy to get through. Okay, but obviously the effects of that on the body, we all know it's not good for us, causes us to put weight on, etc. So what we need to do is retrain the body and get the body into more of what we call a balanced state, and ultimately to burning fat as fuel. Because if you're carrying excess body fat, we need to get the body into what we call a fat burning zone, or we need to teach the body to feel like it's safe to be able to burn that excess body fat, so that we can get into the kind of shape that we want to be in. We can feel better about ourselves, but ultimately it's so that we can have more energy. We can feel better on the inside and emotionally, as well as physically. Okay, so I'm not going to go on too much more today about that, because I don't want to make these videos too long. I just want you to maybe think about that, and maybe that's just helped you to understand a little bit about what's going on and maybe going on within your own body, and start to think a little bit about what you can do to to give your body, give those mitochondria we were talking about, those little mice that are powering around on those wheels inside of your body, 50 trillion of them, the best opportunity to produce energy, and to maintain optimum health. And yeah, as I say, your diet is really, really important. It is really important that you give your body balanced nutrition, and Herbalife provide a really simple, easy, no-brainer way to be able to do that with the Herbalife Formula 1 shakes. And obviously, we always give the message: drink plenty of water. If you're the type of person that does drink a lot of caffeine, switch out to the instant herbal beverage, which is the green tea that I talked about. Make sure that you're drinking, like I say, plenty of water throughout the day as well. We want to flush the toxins out of the body. Our cells can be full of toxicity when you first come to something like Herbalife, because the body's job is to protect you. So any toxins that are in the bloodstream that your liver's been unable to process properly and eliminate from your body will go back into the bloodstream, and then they'll be taken out of the bloodstream to protect you and basically locked inside the cells of your body. So when you first start using Herbalife, something else worth knowing is you will detox. Those toxins will feel like they can be released because all this good nutrition's going into your body, and all of a sudden your body's in a position where it can eliminate those toxins for probably the first time in quite a long time. So if you want to flush those out, you want to drink plenty of water, get through that detox phase, within the first few days of starting the program, get those toxins out of your body. Your mitochondria are going to really thank you for that, as well, because think about it, they're within the cells of your body. This is what helps you to feel, have more energy, when you start Herbalife. It's quite common for people to say to me within a week of starting the Herbalife program, they've got more energy. Well, maybe this is just explained to you, helps you to understand a little bit about why that is, and it's your the cells of your body literally thanking you for giving them all of the nutrients that they want, because you've got to understand as well that in order to be able to produce ATP, which is energy, basically producing energy in the body, the cells of your body need the vitamins to be able to do that. B vitamins in particular are critical to converting food into energy. Okay, so think about, are you getting enough B vitamins? This is why I often recommend to my customers to take the multivitamin supplement, what we call Formula 2, along with the Formula 1, is to make sure you're getting enough vitamins into your system as well to convert as much of this fuel that we're putting into our system into energy. So I have started carrying on again. I'm not going to go on any longer. I'm going to leave it at that for the minute. So have a great day. I hope this has been useful. And by all means, if you've got any questions about this, feel free to ask me. Happy to share information with you. The main thing is that you can take something away with you, which, for me, my passion is really to help you to sort of understand this in a way where you can apply it and you can get the health benefits from it. Okay, take care. Have a great day. Bye for now.